Okay, so today will be another demo. So I have this animation from one of the students in 3D Sense, Matt, and he kindly provided the shot for me to do some demos. So very thank you to him. And yeah, so now I will just use this to demonstrate how to use mesh light. I've seen a lot of students that they like to use mesh light instead of area lights, which is okay. Just that sometimes you need to push the samples a bit more to get rid of the noise and stuff. Okay, so this is how the animation looks like on the go. So you can see the main character actually walks around the set quite a bit and move around quite a bit. So we probably don't want to flatten the lighting on him. And also we want to get some nice shaping on all the key moments where he has all the nice poses, like for example this frame. We want to make sure it has nice shaping here. Then when he turns, make sure we have a nice shaping on him. And maybe this pose, we want to make sure there's a nice shaping when he goes in to the hiding place. And then when he comes out, we also want to make sure all our lightings it's it's nice. And yeah, of course, the last moment probably want to add some creative lighting as well. Cool. So that's how the overall shot looks like in the on the go. So I think I will start off this by placing, not really placing. I will just use all the geometries like the light geometries that was in the set to change it to a mesh light and keep everything physically correct and see how it looks like on the character first before I do any creative lighting. Okay, so how to create mesh light? There's two ways. You can select the. Let me just open up the. Okay, so you can either select the face and then go to Arnold, and under the translator you can change the polymesh to mesh light. Alternatively, you can go to Arnold lights and you can click on mesh light. It's the same thing. So I'll just use it here since I have it open. Okay, so once you click that, you'll see that it changes um, the geometry to a mesh light now. So I can control the colors, exposure, all the usual stuff that you can do with your lights. And okay, so first thing to note is normalize. So this it's a function where you can click this. If it's enabled, that means you can scale up and down your lights and it will not change. So it will compensate the exposure. So if the light is bigger, it will maintain the exposure as it is when it's small. But if you remove this normalize, if you scale up the lights, the exposure will go brighter. Okay, so I do not want to normalize my lights. Okay, and then you can use your color temperature. And the rest is the similar stuff. Okay, so now let's just test with one light first and see how it looks. Maybe I'll just choose a frame to work on. Let me just choose a nice frame. Okay, maybe you choose one frame where we see the robot and him. So maybe you choose like this frame. Okay, maybe let's just work on this frame then. Okay, so let me just frame the camera. Okay, oh, I'm already on the frame. Okay, so this light is already mesh light. I'll just give it some exposure value. So I'll just put 2 and I'll just render it to see how it looks like. Okay, so this is how it looks like with the mesh light. I'll just stop it, don't need to resolve. Okay, so it looks pretty nice. It gives some nice shaping to the character and also the bot. And but one thing is missing is now the light it's a mesh light. It's not showing itself as a light source. Okay, so how we can enable that is inside here there's this option to get the light visible. So just check the checkbox and we just click render again. Okay, so now we can see the light source itself. Cool. I actually quite like the lighting, the shaping that it does on the character. So cool. Yeah, I think I will keep it as it is for now and move on to the rest of the lights. Okay, I'll do the same thing. Change it to a mesh light. Turn on the visibility. Turn off the normalize. Then do the same for the left one. Okay. just do a, let me just save this render. Okay, do another render. Cool. Oh, did I not turn on the like visible? Let me just double check. Oh, it looks like it's on, but then it's, let me just let it resolve a bit. Okay. It might be penetrating or something. Let me just shift it down slightly. Okay, yeah, that fixed the problem. Okay, just render again. Cool. I think overall, it's already looking pretty good. Just with that that lights. So let me just check the scene and see if there's other light source that needs to be added. So I think there's a bit more here. Okay, 3 more here, and then let's check the other corridors. Okay, so there is actually, oh yeah, there's 2 more here, and I believe there will be another 2 or 3 more on the left. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think the main ones, which will be this top light that the character is directly under, which is important because we actually see the light source itself. So this the ones that are off screen, we can cheat it with 1 or 2 likes if we want, so that doesn't really matter. So yeah, it's looking pretty nicely. So but one thing I don't like about doing this mesh light is it makes the whole thing looks like a constant, so it's just white all the way. And then in real life, you probably have some fall off at the side, or there's some textures or some dirt or scratches along the side. Um, a quick way to get that is we can go to Photoshop and then quickly do a vignette um, texture, and then I can wire that into, say, for example, let me just choose the middle one. Okay, let me just save this image. Okay, I can wire into the color, and then I choose a file, and I will just pick the texture. This one. Okay. Then so if I zoom in here, let me just resolve this region. Okay. Is there a difference? Let me see. I probably. Let me just remove this and I do a cleaner renders first, so we can see the before and after. Okay, so this is before applying the texture. Then let me just add a file. Right back. Okay, then do test render. Okay, so you do see a little bit, but yeah, see this is with a bit of fall off at the side, and this is just full white all the way to the edges. You probably will see more. Yeah, it's just probably a touch to, or I can increase the darkness at the edge of the vignette a bit more. Cool. Yeah. I think all these subtle things will help you break away the constant look of it. Okay. So I mean, this is a quick demo. I don't need to go in and tweak all this to perfection. I just want to showcase all the ideas that you guys can do. So I'll just apply this texture to the other 2 lights that we created. So paste, and here paste. Okay, so now if we save image and then we render again, okay, yep, before and after, you do see the light gets a little darker after applying the textures. Cool. Yeah, we also can play with I think probably we want this to be a main light source and this two to be slightly darker, so it's not so even on the top. And what we can do, we can just reduce the exposure slightly, maybe 1 stop, just see how it looks like. yeah, I think it's not bad. Yep, I'll take it. Cool. And then of course don't forget to give it a AOV. So always like group. So we'll this call this the maybe the ceiling one being the main one, and then 2 and 3. Let me just double check the okay. There's an underscore. Cool. And then of course you need to go into your render settings and enable all the AOV. Let me just turn off my Steam for a moment. It keeps popping up, people signing in and out. Okay, cool. So now let's just do a test render again. So we get all the AOVs. Okay, just double check. Cool. So this is the main light source. Left one, right one. Cool. Pretty nice. Okay, so that's the main light source for this character. I'll assume. Okay, so let's just put in the rest of the lights that is in the corridor. So I'll just do the ones that is nearer to the camera. Okay, so what we can do is something. Okay, so this whole mesh is one by itself. So I think I can just quickly use a face, select the face, and I can go to mesh and just duplicate it. Okay, do the same for this. Okay, then do the same for this as well. Okay, so now if I go to this group, I'll get this piece by its own. Okay, then I will just go into my attribute editor. Same thing under Arnold. We'll just change the polymesh to a mesh light. Then we'll do the same thing. So we'll just put the exposure of 2, reduce the light visible. Actually, the light visible doesn't matter because we don't really see the light source, right? So we can just remove it. Okay, change back to object mode. Okay, convert this to a mesh light. Exposure of 2. Remove the normalize. Then do the same for this as well. Okay, so for this light, I think ultimately what will matters most is when the characters is closer to this entrance here. So let's just find a frame where he's closer to the entrance, like yeah, probably the first frame. So we just want to make sure the lighting that you added does not flatten him out or makes him looks weird. Cool. I think the lighting doesn't feel too bad. It still gives a nice shaping to the character. It's just that it's flattening the ground a bit too much to my liking. So let's just create an AOV for them and see what's the contribution of each of them. I mean, alternatively, I can just turn off one of it. Okay, let's just hide the middle one and test render. Yeah, you see, just by removing the middle one, it already gives a bit more shaping as well. So yeah, I think I quite like. Yeah, I think I quite like it. Okay, I'll just see this. Okay, let's just give a AOV to it. I think I will just put these two in one AOV so we do not output so many AOVs of different light sources, since this is just a small part of the scene or the shot. Okay, so this will be the front ceiling. Okay, let's copy this and I'll paste into this as well. So if the two AOV names is the same, it will just combine these two into one AOV. So I'll just go to render settings, create a Okay, RGBA underscore front ceiling. Okay, do a test render. Okay, so this is the front ceiling. Okay, not too bad. Okay, so now we already have 50% of what the likes is on set. And let's just quickly test a few other frames, like the key poses, and see how it looks. So maybe somewhere around here. Okay, let's just change the frame. Yeah, so maybe somewhere around here. Just take a screenshot, test it. Yeah, it's quite nice. Yeah, but I would like to read the key on his face a bit more. Let's check which light. Okay, maybe it's just ceiling light. Let's just check. Let's just. Yeah, I think probably this ceiling light, I like it to be a touch brighter now. Looking at this pose, it doesn't feel the shape doesn't feel as nice. Let me just increase this exposure tiny bit. Okay, so 2.5. Yeah, okay. And it does give a nice rim onto your character as well, so which is good. Okay, so I guess this pose sort of looks nice. Let's just check another pose, probably around here. Okay. Save this image. Yeah, nice. Nice shaping, so it's fine. Let's just check a few more frames. Okay, maybe let's just check a frame where he's inside the hiding space. Maybe together with the egg, so we can evaluate a bit more. Cool. Yeah, even the egg has a nice shaping to it, and you can clearly see him with some nice shaping inside as well. Alright, so now what's bumping to me is that the right corridor seems a bit too dark, and probably the left one we don't see much, but because the egg is coming from there, we will probably want to give him some shaping when he exits that corridor as well. So let's just go ahead and do the mesh slide for it. So since we already have this done, what we can do is we can either use the geometry itself, and we can do the same thing, convert it to mesh slide, or I can probably just do a lazy way. I can just select this one, Control D, duplicate, and I will just shift it over. Okay, can just shift over. Okay, scale it. Okay, then we can maybe scale a bit more. Okay, then we can Control D again and then just put it to the right. Then we'll give this the right ceiling. Okay, change it for this one as well. Create an AOV. Okay, so now let's just test. Save this. Empty. There's nothing there. Okay, let me just double check. Empty. Oh, right. The color it's black. So when we duplicate the light source, when it has a texture, it does not pot over the texture automatically. So it was kept at black. So let me just undo and put the lights back to where they're supposed to be. Okay, and then we'll just go in and put the texture. So just select this, copy the texture, paste here. Okay, same, do the same, paste here. Okay, so now if we were to render, we should get something. Still nothing. Let me see. Just increase the exposure. Come on, that's weird. Okay, let me just break connection to make sure nothing's weird with that. Okay, yeah, without the texture it looks fine. Let me just plug in the texture again. Now. Okay, so it looks fine now with. Okay, I guess it's just maybe some bug when you're doing the duplicating. So I just put it back to white first and then put back the texture on top. Okay, then just render again. Okay, I think it should be there. It's just that we are not seeing it. Cool. Do we really see like source? Not really. It's fine. Okay, so before and after. Yeah. Okay. I quite like it. So yep, all the key poses does have some nice shaping. Maybe this is a bit too dark. Yeah, but of course we can come back and refine it later on. So now we just want to have an overall feel of how the shot looks like. So what else can we do? I mean, we want to use all these like if you look at some reference of some corridors in the spaceship, we do see a lot of this emissive stuff um, inside the corridor. So we want to find some opportunity to play a bit more of this emissive stuff in the scene to create a bit more interest. So I think we can just find some place, maybe change this buttons into some emissive light. Can use the opportunity to introduce some other colors as well. So maybe we want this to be red. Okay, so same thing. We'll create a face. We'll select the face. Then duplicate. Okay, so now we get all these faces. Okay, the buttons basically. So I'll convert it to a mesh light. Okay, put it red color. Okay, we want to see the light source, and we probably just give it a we just leave it as it is and see how it looks first. Okay, do the same for the other buttons. Remove normalize and the third button. Okay, okay, save this image and then just do a render. Yeah, so it immediately add a bit more interest to the shot. Now we get some red emissive, and we also can play some lights from this egg pot onto him later on. Okay, let's just find a bit more space to play with all this emissive stuff. Okay, let's look at the model. Yeah, there's a bit more buttons here. So I think all this we can go in and refine and put in some emissive or change it to a light source, which will help create a bit more interest. And yeah, I think overall it's looking pretty cool. Of course we can, because now this is a light source itself, we can introduce volumetric atmosphere into your scene. So we can go to renderer, environment, can go to atmosphere and add in AI atmosphere. Okay, let's just put a very minimal amount and see how it looks like. Okay, so first I do not want all the light source to be reacting with the atmosphere, because it will just fog up the whole scene. So I will remove all this. I want my main light source, which is the top ones that is closer to the camera, to be reacting to the atmosphere, but not all this that are outside. So just turn off the volume. Oh, this is already muted, so it's fine. Okay, remove the volume. Okay, move the volume, move the volume. Okay, then let's just give it a test and see how it looks like. Cool. I think it gives some atmosphere in the scene, which is nice. But now it's probably too much. So what we can do is we want the main one to still come from this middle light. So but now it's overall too much. So let's just select the middle one first. Okay, probably we just use 50% of it, and we want the left and right to be even lesser. So maybe 20%. And then yeah, just use okay, I just slide the slider like that so that I do not have them in the same value, so at least it breaks up a bit of that similar look. Yeah, cool. I think it's pretty okay, but I still feel probably the side one is a touch too much. Maybe I'll just reduce it slightly more. I really want the main one to be coming from this middle one. Cool. So let's just see. Oh, I did not save one without atmosphere, but you guys can see clearly it adds a bit more detail into your scene. Now it looks like there is some elements or particles in the inside this corridor, and the light is creating this nice volume from it. Cool. I think yeah. I think I'll just stop here before I go further on to beautify the shot. But this overall demo is just to showcase how you can use the mesh light and how you should be using it, creating how you create all the AOVs for that. And yeah, a simple one. So by keeping everything physically correct at where the light source is, it seems like it's giving us a nice shaping. So I will not tweak much at this point. And let me just test one more frame. Yeah, let's just test this frame as well. Yeah. Okay. I think it's a bit dark on the screen left side. Probably because the corridor we did not put any of the light source there. So if we start adding the light that's supposed to be there, um, it will fill up. It will give a bit of fill onto his face eventually. But yeah, I think I can continue that the next session where we go in and then we do all the final touches, adding in a bit more of the buttons like and all the fill and rebalancing all the colors. Yeah, talking about colors, like you can actually shift the temperature of this light. So for example, let's just go to this frame again and say I want this I want all this light to be not neutral, right? Now it's white. So I can use color temperature and I can shift probably a bit cooler. Okay, let's just save and render. Okay, so now before and after, oh, it's the same. Did it not affect? Okay, let me just okay, again I will just break this first and just check everything is working like how it should be. No, it's not even reacting to. Okay, so sometimes when things like that happen, what I will do is I will force update full scene. Okay, before that, let me just put back my texture. Okay, and I will update the full scene and do a render again. Okay, there you go. You got your color temperature. Yeah, so I think the blue one looks a bit nicer. Um, Let me just take a look at my reference again. Yeah, I quite like the blue one, but maybe it looks a touch purple. We want to shift it more this tone. Uh, so yeah, all the color rebalancing you can do it, or if you don't want to use temperature, you can just go into just remove this and you can set it on your color. But of course, you need to tint. Now we are using a texture, so you need to go into your texture and you tint the white to the color that you want. But yeah, I think adding a bit of color to that also helps your scene to looks more interesting. Cool. Yeah, I think I'll just stop here for this session of demo. We'll come in and finish it up the next session, splitting all the render layers, setting up all the render settings properly, and kick it off for render and comp the next session. So I'll just stop here for today. And if this video is useful to you and it helps you in any way, do like, subscribe, or even comment if you have any question that you want to ask me. Thank you. Okay, so today we will just continue from what we left off the last session. So today we will try to finish up everything and set the passes and have it render for the next session where we put everything together. Cool. So a few things that we want to address from last week before we finish off is like there's some moments that we feel like this moment, the, the lighting is not super pretty yet, and there's a moment where he's close to the screen left corridor. It's a bit dark on the screen left side. So we want to try to fill up all those areas, and then next is we want to put in a bit of cyan color onto the corridor so it looks more like this type of tones and colors. So we want to shift the palette a bit. Cool, so let's proceed. Okay, I will start with adding the lights on the screen left corridor first. Okay, so like I said last week, an easy way we can do is I'll just select that light. Just double check. Okay, I'll select the light, duplicate, Control D, and then I'll just shift it over. Okay, I'll just put one for now and see if it does the job. Okay. And then remember from last session, we know that after duplicating, it will break all our textures and stuff. So just shift the color back to white. Then if we want to apply a texture, let's just apply again. Like texture, okay, cool. Then yeah, let me just check the likes. Okay, light visible, we don't really see the light source, so that's fine. We can turn it, keep it off. With the exposure, we can start with 1. I'll just remove the volume because we don't want to fog up the whole scene. Okay, let's do a test render. Let's pick a frame as well. So maybe this frame. Yeah, this frame. Okay, so which is around here. Okay, let's just take a look how it looks like now. Okay, so one thing before I proceed, I will want to remove my atmosphere for now because it will just slow down my renders and my interactive session will take a while for it to so we'll just put this on back later on with a separate render layer, so I will just keep it off for now. Okay, let's do the render. Okay, again, let me just make sure I create a AOV for that. So screen left ceiling. Okay, then we go to our render settings, AOV. Okay, so we can know exactly what that light is doing. So just screen left ceiling. Okay, so you just see very minimal, so we would like to increase the exposure. So let's just shift the knob and see. Yeah, maybe you can increase it by maybe 2 stops, so it's fine. Okay, so we just go back to our light. Okay, let me select the light. Okay, exposure 3. The test render, yeah, it does give a nice. Okay, let's look at the overall image. Cool. So before and after. I can't really tell because of the atmosphere that was added. But yeah, we do know that there is a light that is giving us control over the screen left side. So if we want to expose up or down later on in Nuke, we know that there's this option to work with. Okay, so now that's there, what we want to do is, we want to work on this moment where the hand doesn't feel as nice. So let's just go to first frame. Okay, look at what has happened. Okay, so previously we put in 3 lights and we mute the middle one. If I recall correctly, let's just double check. Okay, yeah, we mute the the middle piece. So let's just check. Okay, so let's say now let's just take a look at. Okay, I'll just do a quick re-render as well so that we got a comparison. Okay, so this is how it looks with the light of first one and the third one. So let's say now if I were to mute the first one, so I Ctrl H to hide it, and then I bring back the middle one, and let's just see how it looks like. No, I prefer the first one. Okay, so bad move. So we'll hide this, or maybe let's just keep the second one and we hide the third one and see how it looks like. Okay, we save the image. Oh, this shaping is not bad. But it gets a bit too dark on here. Yeah, I think I'll just fall back with the initial one that we had. So we will mute the middle one, and okay, let me just put back all the lights that we need. Hide the middle one. Then we want to rebalance the light so that it looks nicer here. So I would guess we need to expose out probably this light that's closer to him to get a bit more values into the hand. So I would say just start with, let's just start with 1 stop and see how it looks. Cool. Before and after. Yeah, it does give a bit more shaping onto the shoulder area as well. Yeah, I quite like it. Yep. And then there's this fall off onto the hand, which is nice. That means like it can simulate the kind of effect that he's walking out of the light or into the light, and this part is just nice, a fall off of the light. So we don't have everything just flattened throughout your scene. We get a bit of variation of in and out of the light, which is nice. Cool. Yeah, I think that works for me. Before and after. Yep. Okay, let's just check other keyframes to make sure. Yeah, this works for me as well. Yeah, this screen left side we already added the light, so that should help this frame as well. Okay, we already fixed this. Cool. Yeah. Okay. So now what we want to do is continuing to give some more interest to the shot. So let's just pick some key moments. Okay. So say maybe this guy intruded this spaceship or whatever. So there's this alarm that sounds off, and we want to simulate that there's this red color light that is going on, which is blinking or anything. What we can do now is we'll create a constant light, and then we can animate that modulation in Nuke, which will be easier to control rather than you set a keyframe here and then later it doesn't look nice. You need to re-render. So it's better to give yourself the controls so you can tweak however you want to modulate the light fast or slow or in Nuke, and it does not require you to re-render. So cool. Maybe I pick this frame. I'll just do a test render and see how it looks like first. Okay, and then say we want a light from the left corridor and the right corridor. So I will start creating my own lights. So let me just delete this. Okay, create an area light. Okay, so this will be my red light, right? Okay, we'll give this an AOV. So this is my screen left. So SL red light. Okay, then go into my AOVs. We'll create one. Okay, so now let's just create a group for it. So it's so like group. Okay, so always keep your scene tidy. So if you happen to pass your file around, the artist that picks up your file does not have a headache trying to figure out what you have done to your shot. Okay, cool. So I will just scale up the area light, and one tips that one trick that I like to do is I will look through the light itself. So I'll select the light source, go to panel, look through the light, then I will select my character, and probably it's reference. So yeah, I will just, if it's not reference, I can select it and I'll frame to it, and then we just position it. So we want this to give a nice rim onto the character, so I assume it will be somewhere around this angle. Okay, then go to your light itself. Okay, let's give it some exposure. Okay, let's work with 3 for now, and we want the red light, so just put a okay, and save this and do a render. Okay, nothing's happening. Let's just double check to make sure the light is doing something, or it's just exposure. Yeah, it's doing something. Like you see when I expose out, there's some information there, just that it's probably not bright enough, so we'll increase say 5. Okay, continue, test render. It's not bright enough. Okay, let's just go crazy bright. Cool, we see something, but let's just check the AOV itself. Yeah, it's doing something, but it's too rim, I guess. I will just shift it a bit more to the right. Okay, let's just check how it looks. Okay, nice. Probably I want to expose out a bit more, like, yeah, this 1 and 1 stop, 1 and 1/4 stop more, so 11.25. Cool. Yeah, let's just view the whole image. Cool. Yeah, gives a nice nice rim to him. Yeah, it probably is too rim looking. I think I probably need to shift it a bit more so we read it a bit more on the face. So first thing now, it feels a bit too sharp, the highlights. Uh, I want to try to soften the look, so I will just increase my light size a little bit more. Okay, that will also help to get a bit more exposure to the face. So I will just rotate the light a bit more, so now it's a bit more side light. Let's see. Cool, yeah, it gives a bit more ray on the face, and it does have nice shaping. You see it's side lit and it does not flatten out his face, so it's nice. Okay, just look at overall. Cool. Yep, so we have one from screen left now, and we want to do one from screen right as well. So okay, let's just do the lazy way. We just duplicate this red light, Control D, and then let's just rename this the screen right one, and rename the first one the screen left one. Okay, we'll go to the screen right one. Remember to change your AOV name so that they both don't appear in the same AOV. Okay, RGBA underscore. Okay, then select the light, look through the light. Okay, we'll just rotate it around and have it come from this corridor as well. So same thing, we want to give that rim look, and hopefully the light is shining through so we get some of the colors onto the ground as well. So it breaks up this very bluish purple tone that we have here, so it gives some more color variation into your scene. Okay, let's just try something like that. Save this, do a test render. Cool, now you see it introduce a bit more the colors into the scene. So now let's just take a look at the AOV itself. It's probably too dark, but wait, the AOV is not coming through. They spelled wrongly. Let me just double check. Screen right red light, screen right red light, and oh nah, the naming is wrong. That's why the AOV is not showing up correctly. Let's just change this. Okay, do that again. Cool, now you see that contribution. Cool, so we probably want to increase it a bit more, like what we had on the left side. So maybe say, yeah, another one stop, 2 stops. I think 2 stops is fine. Okay, so go to your light, attribute editor. Okay, and increase the exposure by 2 stops. So say this one is 13. Okay, let me just stop the render first. Okay, 13.25. Test render. Cool, it's nice. Let's look at the overall image as well. Cool, yeah, so now you see it does give a bit more that the color variation into a scene. Cool. Okay, so now we have introduced new colors, and okay, so what I would like to do now is start to introduce a different tone onto this ceiling light, so that we get a bit more the cyan look like our reference. Cool, so now I will go back onto, okay, one thing to take note, like when you look through your panel and you get the position that you want, always remember to change back to your perspective view and before you start shifting things around. If not, later you'll just lose the position and you'll just need to undo some of the steps that you have already done. Okay, so previously we added a color temperature to the middle one on the previous session before we end it. I think yes, we added a color temperature. So now we just want to maybe not use the color temperature, and we want to shift the colors of the light itself. Okay, so for now I will just break away the texture. I'll shift the color to a more cyan look. Okay, so this looks, let's just look at the reference again. Probably it's a touch too green. We'll shift the blue a bit more. Okay, so something like that. Okay, then let's just choose a frame that we'll see it more. So maybe towards the end of the shot. Yeah, cool. Okay, then we'll do a test render. Yes. Cool. Now it does add some interest into the scene. Now you get a bit more different color variation. Previously the colors onto him is like the same as the ground. So now, but it's just a touch too saturated for my liking. Let's just check the reference. Yeah, you see it's green or it's cyan, but it's not so saturated. So I will just reduce the saturation a little bit. Okay, save it and then do a test render. I always like to save before I do a test render every time I make a change, so I know exactly if I compare how does it look. So rather than you need to try to remember what you have done. So this is a good tip that if you guys are following, you should have the habit of, because it's free, right? It doesn't matter how many times you save. So that way you can actually see exactly what you have done to your scene. Okay, so now it's probably a touch. Nah, I prefer it to be a bit more. So see, now at least we get a comparison, then we can shift it accordingly. Okay, then let's just test render again. Okay, so before and after. Cool. Yeah, I think this is fine. It's like the in between the really saturated one and the too pale one. Yeah, so I think I like this color. Okay, so I will just apply this color onto the rest of the lights that we had. So like this one, let's open up the, okay, brick connection, and we'll pick the color that we use. Okay, so do the same for the left side as well. Okay, so again, take a snapshot and do interactive render. Cool. Okay, let's just look at the before and after. Yeah, maybe it's now everything feels a bit green onto him as well. I quite like what we had. Okay, we can just pretend like this type of, at this point of time, like we can just direct how the lights are, the different colors, right? Because they are smaller, we can just pretend they use a different color for that the smaller ones. So I would say I like the middle one to be the green one, and maybe the side ones not so green. I can shift it to maybe you can have it green, but maybe it's just not as saturated as it was in the middle one. So okay, we'll just change this as well. Okay, do a test render. Okay, I'll save this and then do a test render. Cool. Yeah, at least we preserve a bit of the skin tone color. Like if not, we are blasting too much the cyan color onto the skin tone, it makes it not so nice. Yeah, we still have a bit of the green and we are preserving the skin tone color. So yeah, I like it. So cool. Yep, so this is the color that we'll go with, and we need to tweak the colors for the different corridors, right? So we'll need to go in, and then we assume these are the small ones as well. So we will use the not so saturated one. Then same for this. Okay, again, do a test render. Yeah, you shouldn't change much. You should just very subtly add a bit of color variation into the lights. Let's just double check. Screen, right, ceiling. Yeah, it adds a bit of color. I think we have more than one lights there that was added, so we need to shift the color as well. Yeah, like it's good that, you know, we have different AOVs. Now we can tell that, you know, one of the light didn't get color. If not, we look at the overall picture, we will assume, oh, the color we changed and we didn't realize that we missed out one of the lights. Now that we have the AOV itself, we can tell, no, yeah, I changed one of the light, but one of them are still the neutral one. Cool. So test render. Yep. So we get all the lights, the color that we want. Okay, let's just double check this area. Looks like it's coming from the screen left. Ceiling. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't mind too much. Let's check the ceiling again. Okay, this is nice. 2. Okay. 3. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, we just need to get it like 90% there, and the rest we can just massage it, like the color. If you want to shift it a little bit in Nuke, we can still do it. Let's do that. Cool. And then now again we want to check the other frames to make sure that it looks nice as well. So we want to check the first frame again to put in the colors. So we'll just go to the first frame. Okay, let me just do a test render again. Okay, so now you can see that it's clearly the neutral white one. So we want to shift the color. Yeah. Okay, so this one, change it to the less saturated one, and this one again, less saturated one. Cool. Okay, take a snapshot, test render again. Oh, now but this side feels a bit really green. Let's just compare to what. Yeah, feels a touch too saturated here. Let's just check the lights itself. Did we have a front ceiling? Yeah, okay. Yeah, feels a touch. Well, again, we can change the color in Nuke, but I think I'll keep it slightly less saturated for this moment. Okay, take a snapshot. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I just don't want to make up the whole scene to feel it's super cyan. Like if I look at my reference again, like it's not like really cyan. You still feel the yeah, basically it's not so sad. Okay, so cool. I like where we are heading. So now let's just just double check everything. Yeah, I see it does give a nice shaping onto the egg board as well with the red light. Yeah, maybe during this pose, let's just check the red color light and see. Oh, I don't have the AOV. Yeah, the thing about the snapshot, you don't get to view your AOV. Okay. Yeah, I think one thing is just a pity that we do not get a bit of the red light onto the face. That will looks nice. But overall, I like it. So I will see later on after we do a first pass rendering and see if everything works out like how I want it to be. If not, I can come back and re-render that light to add on later on. So basically I can re-render that light and mute what is currently there and just change to a new light, so I don't need to re-render the whole scene again. Okay, so now this is the look that we are going for, and then now I think the final touches is just add a bit more the emissive stuff to give a bit more interest to the shot. So just the final touches. Before that, let me just quickly save my file Okay, another thing that I want to highlight is always keep incrementing your working file, so you save a newer version every time you do some changes. So again, the file size is not that huge, and if something happens, you always have a previous version that is not too far apart for you to fall back on, rather than if you keep saving over a single file and it gets corrupt at some point, then you start crying at the end of the at that point of time, then it doesn't help, right? So always good to have some backups. Okay, so now let's just go in and add a bit more images. So maybe this hole here we can put in some images like all this. We can introduce some images, and maybe the buttons below we can put in some as well. Okay, let's just try. I honestly I don't know how it looks, so let's just give it a try and see if it works out. If not, then we can always remove it. So I choose a face. Okay, then we can just do a simple modeling. Go to our mesh. We can duplicate that mesh. Okay, and if we go into it, we get the small bits. Okay, so we can just use okay, let's just assign a new shader. Okay, let's just use the standard surface. Okay, we can remove probably we don't need all this, right? The specular stuff, and we can just go to emissive, and we can, let's see what color should we put it. Let's just look at our reference again. Okay, it's quite neutral kind, so I think I don't mind keep it as white. Maybe I just tint it very slightly. Okay, then of course we need to give it some weight. Okay, this one we can adjust later to see how bright we want the emissive to look. So now let's just do a test render and see how it looks like first. Okay, nothing. Let's just zoom in and make sure that piece. Okay, where's my manipulator? Okay, let's just shift it out very tiny. Okay, now it's probably too much. Just shift it back so we see it. Okay, then do a test render. Cool. Okay, so now it looks like a white constant, and it doesn't feel like an emissive. Okay, another tip that you guys say we are working on just this section and we want to get this to look nice. We can always press shift left mouse click to select a region, so our interactive session does not always resolve the full image. We can just interactively basically check this region. Okay, so go back to the let's go back to the material. Then okay, we can shift the width and just just take a snapshot. Okay, you can see that it becomes brighter. Nice, cool, yeah. Okay, so now we know that this is working. We can just apply this material to the rest of the fall. So we can just give this with the emissive shader. Okay, then we want to apply. Okay, let's change this back to object mode. Okay, just select the rest of it. Then okay, we can assign favorite material or existing material. Then we choose our emissive shader here. Okay, so they are all there. We just need to shift them up very slightly. Cool. And then just remove the region render. We can just click here. And go. Cool. Yeah, not sure if it's really looking like how I want it to be. Maybe that's about the idea. But you guys know you can do this now. yeah, it just feels very stick on. I don't really like the look of it, so I will just remove it. Okay, I think we'll just add on a few bits on the bottom of the panels, like here. And yeah, let's see how it looks. So do this, select the face, go to the mesh duplicate. Okay, let's just select the buttons and we just assign the emissive shader that we already created and see how it looks like. Cool, yeah. Maybe it's a touch too like in the face bright, so I probably want to reduce the weight of it a bit. And then I also want to maybe change maybe one of it the colors to a different one. So maybe let's just pick the middle one. Maybe shift this to a different color, so we assign new material. Okay, and we set the surface. This will be my orange emissive shader. Okay, donate all the base and specular, control emission. Emissive color we can choose orange. Then wait, did I use the correct shader? Oh, I use a hair shader. Come on. Let's do it again. Assign new material shader. Okay, then the surface. Okay, this is my orange emissive shader. One, I think I need to delete the previous one. Okay, and yep, let's just take a look. Oh, I need to increase the weight as well. Cool. At least there's some variation to the colors, and then just zoom out. Yeah. Okay. I think later on we can just add a bit of glow in Nuke to just break up all this very straight edge here. Yeah, I'm not buying the white ones. I don't know. Maybe we just dim the white ones. Let's just go to this material attributes. And then where's my material? Okay, maybe we just make it not so bright again, so it's not so in the face. Does it look better? Yeah, maybe. Okay, of course, a lot of fine tuning that you can tweak. Okay, and we can add a bit more as well here. Let's see the screen right corridor if we can add something. Yeah, we already added the red color ones. Yeah, nothing much that we can play with. Okay, yeah, I guess we can just duplicate this 4. You can just shift it over. Okay, make sure it lines up with what you have. Nope, they are different size as well. Oh, I think the lazy way doesn't work. I need to do them properly. So go to select the face. Again, I will just duplicate them. It's for maybe I assign a new one, so I have this. No, shouldn't have too many variation. Okay, let's just keep them the white ones. So I will just assign existing material and then emissive shader. Okay, and then let's just do for the last bit here. Then duplicate and maybe we want to have a different color variation in this one. Okay, so I will just keep maybe two of them, the white ones, and then two of them, the orange ones. Yeah. Okay, let's just do a quick test render to see everything. Yeah, okay, there's some details in the scene. Yeah, no, I don't like this dull pale looking thing now. Let me just go in, give it a bit more of it. Okay, and then let's just take a look at the scene again to see if we can add a bit more stuff. Yeah, I think all these gaps here, I think let's try. If we add in emissive in between, see if it helps to make the scene looks cool. Just now we did put ones in the middle, but it feels like it's stuck on to the geometry, and then it's grabbing too much attention there. So I want the audience to be looking at my character instead. So having a really bright emissive in the background doesn't really help. Okay, so let's just try doing it for here. Okay. Okay, I've selected all the faces, just make sure I never miss any. Okay, then just quickly duplicate them, and let's see, where is it? Here. This should be all of it. Okay, just maybe shift them down very slightly. Okay, and then we'll assign a new material. Again, we want to use the standard surface. I don't want to reuse the white one because this one we never kept it the full energy. So I want to create one that has the full energy. So this one will be my white. Let me see, shader. Okay, so it's the full energy. Okay, let's just test it and see how it looks. Cool, yeah, it does. Adds a bit more detail into the scene. I think, yeah, I don't mind that. We can keep it. It's at least it's not so offensive in the middle that it's like stuck on. Yeah, cool. I like it. Yeah, I guess then we can add it to the bottom bits as well, and then I don't want to do it here. I just keep it at the top and bottom maybe, and then let's just see if we have something to play with in the foreground door area as well. Okay, let's just do it for the bottom parts. Okay, for just working more, I will just hide the rigs for now, so that you can see everything properly. Okay, then again, same thing, we select the faces. Okay, just double check, there's two more. Cool, then yeah, go to edit mesh, duplicate. Okay, then we open our environment, change back to object board, open up the group. Okay, so it will be these bits. Okay, I'll just shift them up very slightly so that they are not overlapping the current geometries. Cool, then same thing, we'll just apply the shader that we created, so the white emissive shader. Okay, from the looks, it looks like some of them are still, oh no, actually this one. Cool. Yep. let's see if I can do it the lazy way. I'll just duplicate all this geometry, Control D, and shift them over to the left side. Okay, looks like we can. Okay, I need to shift it a bit more. Yeah, tiny bit more. Cool. Yeah. Then I don't think we get to see any of the top parts, so I think that's fine. So let's just do a quick render. Oh, we actually don't see the bottom parts as well. Interesting. But say we want to forcefully see something there. Let's just shift it up a bit more. Of course, need to make sure that it makes sense. Do not just put it on floating on top. Not asking you to do that. So yeah, so by shifting up we get a bit of information there. So that's nice. Yeah, so it adds a bit detail, and then later in Nuke we can add a bit of glow and stuff. We can even flare the ceiling light if we want. Cool. Now let's take a look at the foreground corridor. Maybe the foreground corridor we can do it for here. But then consistency wise, we actually this is like a pillar, right? And this is like the gate section. So we can argue that the gate section has it, but the pillar section doesn't have it. Maybe. Let's just try and see if it looks cool. If it looks cool, then we'll just stick with it. Okay, select the faces, edit mesh, and duplicate it. Okay, then we want to select the mesh. Okay, again, we just want to shift it out slightly and assign the white emissive. Cool. Okay, just do a quick check to see if it looks nice. Yeah, okay, not too offensive, but it still feels really stuck on there to me. But maybe with the character blocking some of it, some parts of it, let's just unhide our character. It should block some of it, so it might not look as stuck on here. So maybe let's just keep it for now. Okay, then we'll just do for the rest of that. So the gate area, we have it all with the emissive. Okay, am I selecting the correct ones? Nope. Change back to object mode. Okay. Here. Yep. 4. Okay. Then shift it outwards a little bit. And just add emissive shader. Okay, and then probably for the last bits we add for this side, so that we keep the consistency there. So we have it on all the gates where there's this hole, and the pillar ones we do not have it. Actually we don't really see it on the screen left side as well. Cool. Okay, let's just zoom into this. Okay, face. Okay, edit mesh, duplicate it. Okay, quickly assign white emissive. Okay, pull them out slightly. probably a touch too much. Yeah, okay, cool. And then the last one here. Just duplicate the mesh. The reason that I'm duplicating and not splitting it because at some point, let's say I don't like the idea, I can just delete or mute whatever that I've duplicated instead of like no, I need to go in and retexture or do something to get back what it originally was. Okay, so sign what image save. Cool. So I guess that's all the stuff that we could have added into the scene. Let's just do a quick check. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I think with a bit of glow and stuff, it probably looks nice. Just test some other frame as well. Okay, yeah, it does give a bit of interest into the scene. Cool. Let's see. Cool, yeah. Let's just test a frame with atmosphere as well. Yeah, atmosphere. Okay, let's just save this. Take a look. Whoa. Cool. So we have created a lot more lights, and all those lights are adding to all the atmosphere that we put in. So we want to go in and maybe decrease some of it. So let's just go into here. Okay. So the red lights are the ones that's just select the lights. Okay. Go to attribute editor, shapes, and then we can reduce the volume contribution. Maybe we want to maybe keep some of it, but maybe not so fogging up the whole scene. So just save this, do another test render. The one that has more feels more dramatic. Yeah, I probably will keep it a bit more. Yep. Take this, I can do this, and then at least it's not fogging up my whole scene quite a lot. Yeah, I think I like this. Cool. Yeah. So at this point of time, once let's say I'm happy with this lighting, I can proceed with splitting out all my render layers. Okay. So if you don't know this, so let me just delete this. You can click on here, this to launch the render setup. So they'll open up here, and click on this plus to create render layers that you want. So for example, set, which will be all my backgrounds. Okay, I'll create a collection. So this will be my set view. Okay, then I'll need to start adding in my environment stuff into the collection. So let me just double check. Cool, so that's everything. And okay, let me just open up this. Okay, so these are the options, I mean not options. So once you create a collection, you can put things inside. So you can add the environment inside. So I'll create another collection. Because if it only has the environment collection, yes, it will render just the environment, but we want our character to be there, to be casting shadow or occluding some of the lights when the characters move around. So if we do not have them inside this layer, it will just render the set by itself and we will not get all those shadowings. So this will be my character Joe. So let's just select all the characters which is there inside. But okay, so once we created these two collections, what it means that in this render layer it has these two collections. And if we just render as it is, it will just render like what we have now. So but we only want to have the set in it. So how we can do that is we just select any of the geometries, make sure you are viewing from the render layers and selecting the layers that you want to override some of the attributes. So make sure I select the character geometry. Okay, I can go into visibility. Inside Arnold tab there's this primary visibility. Right click, create absolute override. Okay, once you do that, you'll see that attribute gets popped under this charger collection, and inside here I can turn off the visibility. Okay, so now if I were to do a test render here, I should only get the environment but with the shadows of my character. You do see the shadows here, right? So this means that it's working. So for example, if I do not have this this character here as an influencing geometry, what it does is I will save this image so you guys can see what's happening. You see that your set is just the set without the shadows and the occlusion from the character. So we do not want that unless you're planning to render your cast shape pass separately. But for this demo, no, we will just keep it clean within the character set renders. So I'll just put it back on. Okay, so next what I want to do is I want to split my, okay, so first let me just let's just double check. Okay, so next I want to split my characters out into two separate characters, render paths as well. So create another one. I believe this character is called, I don't know the name of this character. Let's just call it Bob. Okay, we'll create a collection. Okay, we want to add this main character as this render layer. So let's just choose him, add into this collection. Okay, so now this render layer only has this character. So again, we need the set to be in there to make sure it blocks all the lights as it is and occluding whatever it needs. Okay, so create another collection. Okay, this will be everything else except no, let's just put set Joe. This one is my Bob Joe. Okay, so this will have my set as well as this egg looking board, because we do not want this board to be rendering together with your character. So can split them out. Okay, so now again we need to do the same thing. We need to turn off the visibility of them. If not, they will just render like everything together like a beauty. Okay, so just select any of the geometries, go to attribute editor, go to the shape node inside Arnold, same thing. This time around, because we are layering the character over the character and it's moving around, sometimes there will be it will be cut by some parts of the set. So if you turn off visibility, it will just penetrate it. It will be on top of if it's behind, and it will look like it's on top of it. So what we need to do now is we need to use the Animate instead for the character pass. So right click, create absolute override, and then we want to Animate whatever the set and the egg that happens to go over him. Okay, so now let's just do a quick test render. We should only get the character. Okay, and the volume now, we will want to turn off the volume later on, and we want to remove the visibility of this emissive in this pass. Basically we just want to render the character itself. Okay, but we'll just move on first. We'll just finish off all the render layers, and this one we call it the egg. Okay, egg Joe. Okay, and then all the other collections. So let's just call it set Joe. Then this will have the environment and the character. Okay, same thing. We want to create Animate override onto the collection. So okay, and go to here, Animate. Okay, let's just do a quick check to make sure it's rendering like how we want it. Cool. Then again, the volume matrix needs to be, basically the atmosphere needs to be turned off. So what I would do is I'll go to my render settings. I'll break off this atmosphere connection. Okay, I'll create another collection, another render layer. This will be my volume. Okay, so this will have a collection of everything because I want the everything to be audio. Okay, so I'll put everything inside here, and what I can do is I will go to, just view from here, I'll go to the render settings, right click on the atmosphere, create connection override for visible layer. So for this render layer we want to create the atmosphere within it. Okay, and then inside here we can add in our AI atmosphere volume. Okay, we just need to put in some values. Okay, so let's test render from here and see how it looks like. Okay, one thing, this is introducing the volume, but for the collection we have not turned them off. So how we can do that is make sure you select the collection, right click on AI matte. So basically we want to matte out all the geometries, right? Okay, matte. Let's go. So now we got our volume pass that we can use later on in Nuke, that we can plus on top, and then we can of course gamma up, gamma down to do whatever minor adjustment that we need. Okay, so now we have the render pass set up, and now we want to look at how we can turn off all this light visibility on the, say, let's just check here again. Okay, the egg pass has it. Okay, the character pass has it. Okay, so let's just work with the character pass first. Let's just see what's happening. Okay, so basically the light is visible, so we can say inside this render layer we want to turn off the visibility within the character pass and the set pass and the volume pass, but we keep it in the set. So what we can do, we view from the character pass, go into like visibility, the option, right click, you can create absolute override for the visible layer. So it will create that, and then here I turn it off. So now let's just do a test render. Yeah, there you go, it is turned off, right? So do the same thing for the other lights. Okay, yeah, turn it off. Cool, and then just do a test render. Yep, and then we got all our emissive here that's also being visible to the camera. So let's just choose them. Okay, then create absolute override, go in, turn off. Okay, it's a bit painful, but you just need to do it once, and then you can copy all this to your other render pass, so it's fine. Then cool, so 3 of them. Cool, so now just do a test render to make sure all is gone. Okay, cool, so we managed to fix that problem. And then what we can do now is we can just collapse all this. Okay, select the tweaks that you applied to this character layer, Ctrl C to copy, go to your egg layer from there, and Ctrl V to paste. So you can paste whatever settings that you have done for the character inside this render layer. So now if I were to render my egg, it shouldn't have the emissive on. Okay, then we can do the same, we can paste it into our volumes as well. Okay, then let's just do a test render. Yep, there you go, so we got everything set up nicely. Okay, before my thing crashed. Let's just save first. Okay, it's done. Cool. So now we have all our render layers set up. What's next is we need to make sure it's outputting all the AOVs that we want. Okay, so we go to our render settings, go to AOVs. Okay, let's just quickly check it has all our lights, emissions, specular, transmission. Maybe you can put in diffuse if you want. Then we can put in the crypto mats that we possibly can use them. Then there's no SSS, I think, on the character shader. It should be, yeah, I think these are fine. Probably Z if you want the depth. Cool. Yeah, I will use this. And then cool. So now is the final part before we send the renders, is to make sure the samples are adjusted accordingly to how clean we want the image to look. Okay, so let's just look at our set first. Okay, let's just do a test render. Okay, it might take a while, and I will need to let it resolve a bit more, so we can tell whether we need to push the samples. Cool. There's also ways that you can say the set there's more all those emissive stuff, or there's a very reflective surface on your set but your character doesn't have, and maybe for the set you can override the specular samples just for the set layers, and not the characters layer, so that way you can optimize your scene and not boost everything unnecessary for all the passes that is irrelevant. You can do that by going into your layers, and then you can right click. For example, I have to override the specular samples, and you can create an absolute override here, and you create the render settings, and you can change the samples just for this render layer. That's if you want. And also a good tips is, if you look at the animation, the egg comes in only maybe halfway through the shot, right? That means if we were to render the egg for the whole sequence, like how you render the character and the background, we are wasting the farm resources or your machine, basically rendering black frames for the first part of the animation, right? And we can do that by overriding also the start frame for that egg layer. So for example, okay, so now if I look at my animation, okay, let me just stop. Should I stop it? Okay, let me just stop it first, and I go to my point. Okay, so my egg board comes in, say at frame, okay, 157. So if we were to render it as per normal, we will be wasting our renders for 157 frames. That is a lot of time wasted. And what we can do is we can go into our egg pass. Okay, view from there. Okay, go to your render settings and go into your, okay, so of course the frame eventually you need to change it to let's just use something that we want, name, frame number, extension. Okay, then so the full duration is 1 to, let's see, it's quite a lot of frames, 480. So 1 to 480 is the default render range, and for the egg pass I want it to start at 157, if I remember correctly, the frame number. Yep, 157. Let's just check. Yeah, even 158 looks fine. Okay, so we can right click on the start frame, create absolute override onto the visible layer. So you create here, and I want the start frame to be 158. Okay, so all these tips I mean not tips actually, all these things that I'm doing, you guys should be always constantly thinking like how you can minimize all this wastage of time during your render process. No, if it's not in a frame, then for what you are rendering them? Or if this pass do not need so much samples, why are you blasting all the samples onto this pass? So this will define, I mean it will show that if you guys are doing all these things with all this optimization, it shows that you guys actually think through while doing the render, and not just putting everything onto the farm, or wasting the resources that's unnecessary. Okay, let me just select a region and do a test render so I can import, not import, input the sample settings accordingly. Okay, it's black because I'm rendering from the egg pass. Okay. Okay, this time I'll let it resolve a bit more so I can see how much I want to push for the samples. Okay, so if I zoom in, the renders actually doesn't look too bad except for the shadow side. So let me just check the AOVs to make sure. Yeah, the lights itself doesn't look too bad. Yeah, probably just a very tiny bit noisy, but I think it's acceptable range. And of course, if we find it too noisy, we can denoise it with the noise function that you guys have here. So I think this is not too bad for me. I will probably increase the AA samples a touch, maybe 4. Okay, and again, these are not going onto like movie theaters or what, so it will be viewed either on the phone or the monitor screen. So it's quite forgiving, unless you're saying that you have a lot of resources and you want to blast your the renders to be crisp, sharp and clean. Of course, go ahead and push out samples, but for this demo wise, I will just push it to a reasonable range and go from there. Cool. One thing, let me just put in the indirect direct, indirect, diffuse. Okay, I just want to double check to make sure the samples are enough for the indirect areas as well. Okay, just look at my maybe diffuse direct. Okay, doesn't look too bad to me. Let's just check the indirect, nothing, that's good. Specular direct, okay, there's no specular on the wall. Okay, nice. So it's just all the direct samples that need to be pushed a bit more. So if there's no specular in this scene at all, we probably do not even need the specular, but I'm not sure my character or the bot has it, so I'll just keep it. But say for example you see your whole design of your set does not have specular response to it, maybe that's the look that you're going for, you don't even need the specular samples in it. Cool. Yeah, I think I can work with 4 AA samples. That gives me quite a nice look. Not sure what is this black color thing, let me just double check to make sure nothing is broken. Okay, that's just his shadowing. Oh, it's not shadowing, I mean the shadowing will be this, and this black part is basically his body penetrating the wall, but it's okay because we will not see it anyway. Cool, let's just do a quick check on the character. Okay, we can just select him and then so it just resolve. The eyes texture is broken. I need to reach out to the artist. Yeah, luckily we spot this earlier. Yeah, if not we'll be wasting the one set of render. Yeah, the overall image looks pretty clean. I mean, even not at 100%. So I think I'm fine with the sample settings that we had now. Okay, let's just double check the egg as well. Where's the egg? Okay. Yeah, actually, you can do a fun moment where the egg comes back and there's a laser that points out and shoot a like a light onto the character. That would be a nice touch. But we can just proceed and render this first, and later on, if we really want it, we can come back and add a render pass and just render the light separately. So that's fine. Can do that later. Let's just check the egg. Okay, I believe this egg should have a specular response. If not, we'll not be seeing the reflection onto the. Yeah, so we definitely need to keep that samples on. But of course, we can go into the set and remove the specular samples if we don't need them. Yeah, it looks quite clean overall. So I think I'm fine with them. Yeah. Just check again. Yeah, the diffuse maybe is a touch noisy. Yeah, but I do not want to push too much. I don't want to spend too much time rendering it. Because all this could be fixed by the denoise as well if we want. So if you want to do the denoise, do remember to turn on the denoise AOV. So you go to AOVs under here, then output denoising AOVs so that you can use it to denoise later on. Now of course if you are just opening, I mean enabling some of the AOVs to check some of your stuff and you don't really need them in compositing later, you can remove them after you check your stuff. For example, I don't, maybe I can keep them, but maybe I don't need the specular direct indirect. Yeah, because the more AOV that you guys have, the more render time that you take, obviously. So again, another form of optimization that you guys should be thinking. Okay, transmission maybe don't need. Yeah, cool. I think that's it. I think we should have everything set up. Cool. Yeah. So basically that's it, and this is the overall. So let's just do a quick render of everything again. Cool. So this is how we are finalizing all of them, um, all of the lighting and all the little details that we add into the scene to help the scene to look better. And yeah, hope you guys like it. And if this content helps you in any way, don't forget to click the like button or subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of this in the future. And then if you got any question, again, feel free to put it in the comment section, or you have any recommendation or any kind of scene that you want me to try to like, feel free to put it in the comment section. And thank you guys. Cool. Okay, so from the last session we have render all the render passes that we need. So basically we have our set by itself, the mats that we need, um, the character, the egg. The egg is somewhere here. Then we got our volume pass as well. So this is a quick look of everything A over B. So the character with the set. Something is wrong here. Just notice. But oh no, because the egg is in front. Then I got my egg. Then I got my volume. Okay, so this is how it looks out of the box. So it's pretty good. It's just that sometimes we will of course want to fine tune stuff in comp. So what we can do is I'll take a look at the play blast again to find some of the key poses there to make sure that the light looks nice on them. So for example, I want to check this moment where he's in this pose. Okay, so somewhere like that. Okay, so I would imagine I would want this top light to be like influencing much more on him. So first I can just do a quick check on the AOV to make sure we have some information there. So let's just double check. So using a layer context sheet, it shows me all my AOV within that EXR. So let's just see ceiling 1. Okay, yeah, I think this light probably can go a touch brighter. That will give a bit more shaping onto his face and the overall shape. Okay, so what we can do now is I can go into this EXR, shuffle out, not sparkle, shuffle out the ceiling 1. Okay, let's just double check. Yeah, so this is how it looks. I'll remove the alpha. Okay, then I want to remove it from my main render first. So I will do this. Okay, and the operation, let's change it to from. Okay, that way we are removing this top light from it. Okay, so let's just rename this node. So this is the ceiling 1. Right. Okay, so after that we want to play with the exposure. Okay, so say here, then we want to increase, maybe change the unit to stops, and then say 1 stop brighter. Let's just look. Yeah, pretty nice. Okay, then we want to plus back these changes into the scene. Okay, yeah, so without and with the changes, maybe can go a touch more. Let's just go 3 for now, just to see how it looks. Yeah, probably it's a touch too bright, but it looks nice. Maybe just keep it to 2.5. Okay, yeah, I quite like the nice bright highlights on the shoulder. Cool, yeah, I like it. And then let's just check other frames to make sure it doesn't look weird. Maybe somewhere here. Okay, so let's just check. Yeah, it looks too bright when he's totally underneath that light. So I think the adjustment is definitely too much. Let's just put maybe 1.5. Yeah, 1.25. Okay, yeah. Let's just check. Yeah, it has the nice shape. Okay, let's just check another frame when he's in it. Yeah, okay, not too bad. Okay, and then towards the end, let's just take a look. Yeah, nice, I like it. Okay, so we want to apply these changes. Of course, we want to keep the scene physically correct first. So we want to apply these changes to the egg itself. I mean the egg as well. So let me just remove this. Here. Okay, here. Okay, so with and without the changes, yeah, you can see it does give a bit more shaping onto the character, the egg as well. Okay, nice. And then we can apply it to our set as well. Yeah, but the set probably feels that's a bit, yeah. I think it's fine. I will just keep it for now. Okay, and yeah, previously when we talk about this red light, we want to create this like a intruder or some flashing red lights, right? So what we can do is we can first shuffle out all the red lights. Not sparkle. Shuffle. Okay, so we generated the left and right separately, so we have the screen left red light. Okay, remove the alpha, and we want to shuffle out the screen right one as well. Okay, always rename your nodes and all, so you know you get a clear look on what you are dealing with. Okay, so screen right. Okay, then we plus them together. Okay, so this is my red light from both left and right side. Just double check left and right. Okay. Okay, then I want to remove it from my main tree. Okay. Wait, the operation is something wrong. This should be here. Should be like that. Okay. Yep. So this is my set, and then I want to remove the red light. So again, I can use my merge. Then remove it from the set. Okay, so now it removes the red light. Then of course we want to do some fancy, maybe we want to animate the multiplier of this red light. So let me just plus it back first, so we get to see the overall view. Okay, plus. Okay, and maybe you want to just do some like animation of the light fluctuating to make it looks like maybe some alarm has gone off. Okay, so we'll do the animation later. We'll copy this setup and put into all our character passes. So just make sure we give enough space for them. Okay, so yeah, we can just copy and paste the nodes because the AOVs are named the same, so that's fine. So plug to here. Okay, always keep your Nuke script as clean as possible. So if anyone were to pick up your file, they will not um, start crying. Okay, then this one. Okay, let's just double check the egg, and then increase the key light, remove the red light, and plus it back, then over. Okay, yeah, that's it. Let me just quickly save first. Okay, so we have the light already technically split out now, and it's with this grid node that's hovering there, which ultimately will be the control to do the fluctuation. Okay, so I'll just use this session to introduce some expression that can be used like for the process of creating like just fluctuating lights. So instead of just going in and keyframe like setting key and then animating this throughout the time frame, we can use expression to say generate some repeated movement. For example, we can use uh, random if you want. So random, open and close bracket. Okay, so what happens now here, if I were to view in the curve editor, you'll see that it generates a random values into this multiplier node. So now if I were to change my time, right, you will see that the multiplies value changes. So this will give me a random look. But this alarm thing should be a regular movement. So you can use sign and then dollar frame. Okay, then if you look at the curve editor, you see that it generates the same frequency throughout the whole timeline. Okay, and okay, so now if I were to play back this, it will looks like, okay, let's just do a, yeah, so now if it's too fast, okay, so how can we make use of this expression to slow it down? So basically we can use this, okay, so we can use this frame to to slow down the movement. Okay, so what we can do is we can either divide the value, say /2, so that basically means slower the animation by half. Okay, and then we can see how it looks like now. Okay, let's just generate a few more frames. Okay, as you see, I changed the expression. You see that the gap between them gets wider now. So yeah, probably maybe still a little fast, but it's getting there. Okay, so let me just open up the expression again. Oh, did I click something? Okay, if you don't know how to open up this expression box, the shortcut key is the equal button. Okay, so maybe divide by 3. Okay, then let's just preview a few frames. Okay, and then let's just take a look. Yeah, this looks a bit too slow though. Okay, I think I will just keep it as the 2. Okay, so you can either use divide or you can use multiply. So instead of /2, if you use multiply by 0.5, that will give you the same result as divide by 2. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay. So this is how we can quickly generate all this animation without needing to set up the keyframe, which is tedious. Imagine I have 400 frames. I need to go in one by one and set the keyframe, which is painful. And now I need to make sure this grid node is applied onto um, all the other red lights. For example, the character and my egg pass. But say, of course, I can just copy and paste the grid node. But no, at some point, say after I do my on once render and I don't like it, I want to tweak this again, and then I need to copy this and paste into these grid nodes again. So it's not it's very tedious on a simple scene like that. But if it's a much bigger scene, you have a lot of different interrelated characters and stuff. It becomes unnecessary work, right? So one way you guys can do is say I have 2 or 3 grid nodes that I want to link with my master one. So this is, for example, 4 is my master one, and I want it to, okay, let me just expose this to 3. Okay, 4 is the master, and I want the 5 and 6 to be controlled with the 4. What I can do is I can, okay, double click the 5. So this is grid 5, and I can hold down control, click on the value, and put it into, say, wait, sorry, wrong. I want my grid 4 to be the master. Click and drop it into the multiply attribute. Okay, so now you can see that both of the 5 and 6 is linked to 4. And if I were to change my grid 4, you can see that all 3 nodes change at the same time. Okay, so I can do that for this. But say, for example, if someone were to take over this file and they want to tweak this red light and they don't know which is the master control, right? Because I could have so many nodes in this scene, and they have to go in one by one to find out which is the node that is controlling all the red lights. What we can do is we can create this no op node. Okay, and then let me just change this back to 1. Okay, so basically we want this to be the master control of all the red lights, right? So first we can rename this say red light control. Okay, maybe we want to bold the font so it's and then we can change the color if you want so that it's very obvious. Okay, and then this we can put it at somewhere, it's very obvious. Whoever picked up the file can know this is the red light control. Okay, and then okay, to make the look nicer, we can remove the input so it does not have that line. If okay, without this, you see that you get this arrow, right? So if I were to click this, you don't see the arrow. Okay, it's just to make it nicer. Okay, so now we want to have a control here that controls all the multiply setting. Okay, so what I can do is we can go into this node that we created, right click, manage uh, manage user node, I think, manage user knobs. Okay, then we can add, for example, a floating point slider. Okay, we can call this the red like exposure. Okay, then we can just press done. Okay, so now if I double click on my control, I can see that this red light exposure, and then we want this to control all of our the grids that we set up. Okay, so now I can basically go into here, open up the expression, copy what I have set. Okay, remove this, create just a regular node. Okay, go into here, paste the expression. Okay, so so how do I link this node to this grid node to this control? Very simple. We can either do it the let me just open up two. Okay, we can either control click the multiplier and just paste onto this the other way around. So control click on this and then drop onto this multiplier node. It will link there. And for example, I mean, in case you forget about this shortcut, so what you can do is you can okay, so now this grid is grid 1 and grid light control. Okay, so what we can do is double click here. Okay, go to the multiply value there. Okay, open up the expression box, can type parent dot red light underscore control dot red light underscore exposure. Okay, so basically we want to tell this node that the parent is the red light control, and we want to grab the exposure, I mean the red light exposure, which is this variable, to link it to this multiply. And if we press OK, you'll see that it's linked there. So now I should get this animation. Let's just do a quick test. Nothing. Okay, let me just double check. This is moving. Yep, it should be moving. Okay, and then okay, let me just view from here. Do a quick test. Yeah, I should get the animation. Okay, then very simple. We can just do this for the rest of the two nodes. So we can I'll just do the quick one, so I don't need to type. So control click and drop. Okay, then control click and drop. Okay, so now you can see all three of the grid nodes, it's expression linked to my main control here. Okay, so now like all this, it's just all the stuff that you guys can tweak. So I mean create so that your team get a benefit of it. So say at some point my director said it's flickering too fast. I can just use this control and just tweak any necessary changes here. And say maybe you can add in more. For example, let's say we add a saturation control here. Then for example, if it's too saturated, then we want this control to also have that option for us to control the saturation. Right click, manage user knobs. Okay, we can create another slider. Okay, now we call it the saturation. Okay, we want this to be below, so we want the red light to be higher. Okay, so this is my saturation. So we can just click this. Okay, and control it. So now saturation is 1, and we can tweak it and it will change accordingly. Okay, so just do the same. Here, cool. So now you can see that my control is controlling two of the stuff that is within the light. So now if I were to view the whole image here, And then if I were to make my saturation, you can see here, I can make it basically a white light, and then the saturation at full. So I'll just keep it at 1 for now. Okay. Of course, we can design many stuff. We can use this to control all the exposure of this light as well if you want. You can put in the exposure and then link it back to the master control. So let's say you want to make it brighter or darker, you can do that. Okay, so that's a simple way to create a control and using expression to link the nodes that needs the same value onto it. Okay, so now let's just check a few more frames. Yeah, looks pretty nice. I like it. Cool. Let me just. Okay, yeah, I think I quite like how it looks now. So we can just do our regular stuff like adding vignettes or color grading or the overall shot grade that we can add. Okay, let me just find a frame that's nice to evaluate that. I want to see a frame with the red light. So okay, maybe something here. Okay, so let's say let me just do a quick save. Okay, with the volume. So yeah, the volume, I don't fancy this. Yeah, maybe it's too much. I can just gamma it slightly, expose it up a bit more. Okay, so it brightens up some of the core area. Okay, let's just view it. Yeah, I think overall I just feel it's a touch too much, so I reduce the gain. Yeah, okay. Yeah, cool. Let me just double check my contact sheet. Okay, yeah. So we need to, of course, add the red lights so that the volume is reacting accordingly to all the uh, with all the expression. So can link it to here. Okay, here. Okay, so let's just double check to make sure it's working. Does it actually have it? No, I'm afraid probably the AOV does not generate with the volume. Let's just check the layer contact sheet again. Yeah, I think the volume doesn't take into consideration of all the lights that is there. So unfortunately, we can't do it. I think we can. The easiest way to do it is you render the volume separately, like the red lights and the top light, and then use the expression to control just the red light itself. Okay, never mind. We'll just keep it. I'll probably re-render the volumes later on. So I'll just keep it for now. Okay, and then yes, we want to just do all the final tweaks here. Okay, let me just turn off my Steam so we don't get the pop-ups. Okay, so okay, so we'll do our regular say color correction. So the CC. Okay. Again, I like to make sure all these things are conveyed properly. So if anyone is picking up your file, they know what is happening there, or they will be wondering how come you have this color correct note here. So let's just do a short grid. Okay. Okay. Then say, let me just go to the one with the red light. Okay. Okay, say maybe we want to increase a bit more contrast to this shot, so we can push the contrast just slightly. Okay, before and after, maybe just too much now. 1.1. No, too much. Okay, push the contrast a little bit. Yeah, the image starts to pop now. Then let's just make sure it doesn't kill all my volumes. Okay, yeah. Okay, then yeah, I mean whatever stuff that you guys can tweak. You want to gamma up, gamma down, can do all the stuff. Or if your shadows you want to push the values, you can do that. Okay, then after that we do our say vignette. Let me just update my plugins. Okay, vignette. Hey, yeah, it darkens the foreground, but personally I feel it's a touch too much, so I will just go into the amount, reduce it. Yeah, still too much. Yeah, 0.1 maybe. Okay, then we can do our regular expo glow if we want. Okay, let's just plug in. Okay, this probably will blow out everything. Yeah. Okay, and of course we only want selection of the areas that it's a light source, right? So we can double click this, go into preview. Okay. Okay, so now we can just push the values all the way so that it just leave with all the bright areas in the scene. So say if I push it something like that. Okay, then just take a look. Okay, and of course I can reduce the multiplier to just bloom a little bit. So now you can see that it adds some nice glow onto that top light. Okay, I think might be a touch too much, so I will just reduce it slightly. Yeah, it adds a nice touch, but we are not really getting the ones at the side as much as I would hope to. Okay, so what I will do is if that's the case, I can create another expo glow. Okay, then I want to select all these ones that I want to enhance the glow. Okay, so what I can do is I can make use of my crypto matte now. Okay, add a picker. You can just pick all the lights area. Am I using the correct? So object. Why is it not? Let me just see if I'm doing it correctly. So remove this. I'll create a new one. Crypto matte. Okay, change this to asset picker. Yep. Okay, not sure there's a bug or something. Okay, we just select all the light. Ah, I can't undo. So clear that. Okay, come on. Um, okay, that's the light source here, here. Okay, then this one of course. We can do it for this one. Oh no, come on. There should be a way to undo, right? Why does my Control Z not work? Picker to remove. Okay, very good. Come on. Okay, I'll just ignore that button for now. Okay, we'll just add more. Okay, and then here, and I think this one here. Okay, yeah, the bottom ones there's some artifacts during the rendering, so I'm probably not going to do that. Okay, so now I have the matte. Okay, and then I want it to connect to this expo glow tank, so I will just drag up my thing. Okay, so if I view from here, just make sure. Okay. So we need to go into the node and make sure that the mask is selected to the alpha. So just check this. Okay, so now you can see that it's applied to that, and of course we can reduce the um, multiplier so that it's okay. Before and after, yeah, I kind of liked it. Okay, yep, nice. Okay, and then like when times like that where we have this line that is stretching across all the way, personally I don't enjoy that. So what I will do is I'll create the point here, and I will just double click the node and we will hide the input. Okay, so now that the line is gone, but when you select it, you can see that it's connected to my crypto map. Cool. Then now, yeah, I think overall it looks pretty good. Yeah, and then of course, then now I will just double check everything. We can remove our alpha during the export. Okay. Again, I like to do a reformat just in case we got any weird thing happening. So just set this back to our HD. Okay. We can crop if you want. If we are afraid that there's anything outside, then we can do our right. Okay. Again, I'll write in EXR. Okay, so this will be, let me just set off. Okay, I'll write into the project, and then I'll just create a folder called the comp. Okay, then I want the EXR to be named, okay, the project name, so pantomime dot, maybe my name, version, and then dot, there's 3 heading dot exr. Okay, then once it's done, I'll save my file. Again, just make sure you name your stuff properly so people know when they take over your file. So I can put, actually I can do that as well. Then this will be my output here. Okay, nice. Yep, I think that's it for the yeah, I'll probably need to fix this artifacts. Let's see if I can do something quick here. I do recall seeing some frames that is okay here, so I think what I can do is I can do a frame hold. Okay, let me just push this thing higher. Okay, I can frame hold this because my camera is not moving, so I can probably cheat something. So I'll frame hold this, which is the frame that is working, so 324, and then I will use a mask to mask out all this like, so let me see if I can get a mask from that. Okay, maybe this, no, I think I have to do this. Okay, I will remove it later. Okay, so I have all that. Yeah, even the alpha is not fully white, so we will not be able to cut all the thing. I think what we can do, we can try see if we can grade up the alpha so that it's solid white. Okay, almost. Yeah, eventually we need to fix this in the render. So later on we'll just fix it in the proper render. So now we're just trying to see if we can cheat something. So we want to mask out the, okay, this. Then if I look at this, okay, so if I look at other frames that is not nice, like here, so we can merge back. Nice one. like that. Yeah, so at least it fixed some of the problems. Okay. Okay, let's just look at the whole image again. Cool. Yeah, I think probably I also want to go in and then add a light that's pointed from this egg onto the character. That looks nice, I think. Yeah. Yeah, so this is a quick comp of it. I will run out the EXRs and put into a sequence. So during the start or the end of this demo video, you guys get to see the overall result on this comp. And then yeah, if this session is useful to you or it helps you in any way, do like or subscribe to the channel. If you got any question, feel free to put it in the comment section, and then or ask me anything if you want, or ask if you have anything that you request that you want me to be doing. Feel free to ask that. Yeah, thank you, and see you the next time.